I'm Nick Nimmin, and in this video, we are going to be talking about the best cameras for your live stream, because you want your live stream to look awesome, right? Of course you do. So I'm going to share with you some of the best options that you have available. And I'm also going to share with you what I personally use in my live studio and here in my home studio. And I want you to keep in mind that this list contains budget options in case you're just starting out. And we also have some very high-end options in this list as well. So regardless of what it is that you're trying to do with your live stream, the cameras in this list will have you covered. The very first camera on this list is the Logitech C922 webcam. This camera is under $100 and it's a great place to start if you're just starting out with live streaming. Actually, you don't even have to be just starting out. I still use the Logitech C922 right here in my home studio for any live streaming that I do from here. The big advantages for this camera are that it comes with a very low price tag, and in addition to that, it's also very easy to set up and use, pretty much plug and play. But with that said, Logitech also has software that you can use to actually make adjustments to the camera, so you can increase the sharpness, increase the saturation, and you can fine tune what your image looks like. Next on the list is DSLRs. You may have one of these laying around already if you're currently making video content. Now, when it comes to DSLRs, I want you to keep in mind that yes, DSLRs can be used for live streams, but the setup for these and just using them for live streaming in general can be a little bit tricky. The reason for this is because DSLRs are designed for photography first, and because of that, they require additional hardware in order to turn them into live streaming devices. Some of that additional equipment, for example, are things like a microphone. You know, you're definitely going to need to have some type of audio input into the DSLR because the audio that comes with these things usually is not up to par, especially for a live stream. Of course, you're also going to have some type of stabilization if you're out running around with your DSLR and you're live streaming through something like the LiveU Solo. And you have to figure out what lenses to use, because some lenses are fantastic for vlog style live streams. Other lenses are horrible for it. So you have to figure out what lenses to use and what lenses not to use. And again, using a DSLR is definitely possible, definitely works. The image quality is fantastic, but it's just important that you're aware of some of these hurdles. Now, if you do want to use your DSLR because you already have one laying around and you just want that better image quality, one thing that you can do, if you have a Nikon or you have a Canon, you can use software called Cam, and that will actually help you connect your camera to your computer through a USB port. Now, if you don't have a Canon or a Nikon, then in most cases, depending on the manufacturer, you're most likely going to have to get some type of external hardware. For this, the company called Blackmagic Design has a host of fantastic products to help you connect your DSLR into your computer. Or you can go the budget route and pick up something like an Elgato Cam Link. This runs for a little over $100 on Amazon. Sometimes they run specials on it. But how it works is basically you plug your HDMI into the back of this, the out from your camera into the back of this, and then you plug this into your computer, and then it comes with software to where it basically makes that connection to turn your DSLR into a webcam. In our live studio for Nimmin Live, we actually use a couple of these and then a couple of the ones that we actually build into the computer. We use one of these to actually have an HDMI out of a laptop, and then that actually makes it to where we can convert that screen also and plug it directly into the computer so that we can pull in my laptop during our live streams. So far, they're working out great. The really cool thing about using a DSLR for a webcam is you get that nice blurred out background, but the main downsides, of course, are battery life, and of course, using external software or hardware to make it all work together. Also, when it comes to using DSLRs, depending on the model that you're using, some cameras also have problems with overheating and things like that. So I would definitely research it before you just grab your DSLR and you go try to hook it up to do a very long live stream. In our live studio, we use the Canon 70D for one of our views, and it's worked out fantastic, and it's held up very nicely because sometimes our streams can last up to 7 hours, and it'll stay on and stay working perfectly fine for that entire time. The Canon EOS 6D and the Nikon GH5 are also really good DSLRs for live streaming if you choose to go that route. The next option for live streaming is to use a dedicated video camera. Video cameras can work great for live streaming, especially if you're doing stuff out and about, because they're lightweight, the batteries last pretty much forever, and in most cases, depending on the camera that you get, of course, it produces a very nice image, and it's also got built-in stabilization, which is fantastic. For this, if you decide to go the video camera option, the Canon XA30 and the Canon XA35 are fantastic options for video cameras. Those cameras do come with a pretty hefty price tag, so if you have a video camera laying around, you might want to try that first, see how it comes out, and then upgrade if you need to. In our live studio, we actually use 2 dedicated video cameras, and both of those are Canon XF100s. They're fantastic cameras. They're a little bit older, and because of that, we're actually actually thinking of upgrading to DSLRs just because we know about lenses and things like that, and that will give us the flexibility in terms of making things look a certain way because there's a certain look that we're trying to create. Now, if you're using the LiveU products, video cameras are fantastic for those because, again, because of the stabilization if you're out running around, because of the long battery life, and because they're lightweight. I mean, the last thing that you want is to be running around with a lightweight box like this and then plugging something into it that's heavy and inconvenient to lug around. And because of that, video cameras are fantastic for the LiveU products because you can take the HDMI out and you can actually plug it right into the HDMI port here, and then you're ready to go. With video cameras, you also have the built-in microphone, so it's just a lot easier to run around with and a lot less chance that you have of things going wrong. Because with any of this stuff, the more components you add, the more things that you add to what it is that has to be connected here and turn on here and batteries here and all of that, the more that you add to it, the more chances you have of something going wrong that you're gonna have to replace and that might mess up your live stream. And speaking of LiveU, if you're using a solo, for example, a lot of people are using sport cameras for those because of all the different mounting options and because they're so small and easy to use. For this, GoPros and the Sony a7S300 are fantastic options for you because they're lightweight, the image looks fantastic, and while you're out running around, who knows, you might even get it wet. So if you're doing any IRL streaming, the Solo paired with a GoPro or the Sony a7S300 are fantastic options for you. Okay, now we're gonna go high level here with the cameras. Let's say that you are putting a professional studio together. Let's say that you wanna take your stuff just to that higher level in terms of quality and you're pushing out 4K video. The PTZ Optics Z-Cam or the PTZ Optics 20X SDI Gen 2 are great options for you. Now look, these cameras come with a hefty price tag, but if you're trying to operate at that higher level and you want your stream to be a certain way, you're a professional in that particular case, then these cameras are gonna be great for you. If you have any questions about any of the equipment that we talked about today, feel free to ask in our private Facebook group. A link to that's gonna be below this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.